Hello and welcome back to the Lille Regional Championships from France. My name is Ross Gilbert and I'm back with the lovely Benji Hutchings. I've never got to cast with you before, but I think we can fix that right now. How you doing?
I am doing absolutely great. I'm so hyped to be here. COVID meant that I wasn't able to jump back in the hot seat for 2.5 years, but I am back and I'm with the man himself, and there is no greater pleasure.
We had some nice bonding over dinner last night. We all got together. We all got to know each other a little bit. Now we got some lovely Pokemon action. You missed a cracker round one. Not every round one game on stream is good. We've all seen a lot of streams. We've all been on a lot of streams. Sometimes round one is a little bit weird. Oh, it was not. We had a fantastic back and forth game between two different Giratina archetypes. A deck which has not really shown up at the US regionals, not in the numbers we might have been expecting. And I want to see what round two's got in store for us.
Definitely. I mean, I've been doing the rounds, getting dizzy, walking back and through the rows, and there is plenty of Giratina here. I think it's time that Europe does it some justice. It's the poster boy of the set, and I think it's about time it shines. And by the sounds of it, that game went really highlighted its strengths.
I mean, when you put a Pokemon on the front of the booster pack, you're kind of saying, look, this one's going to be good. And it was very, very hyped when it came out in Japan. It's certainly seen a bit of success. We've seen it really taking second fiddle to things like Lost Zone Box, like Reggie's and Palkia and Mew. And I think, if I remember correctly, there was one Giratina in the top 8 of both US regionals combined. Now, I've not been able to walk the floor because I've obviously been on the camera, but lots of Arceus. What else is out there, Benji?
Well, some surprises, I'll be honest with you. Reggie's had an incredible showing last weekend, 4 in top 8 of Salt Lake City, which I don't think anyone saw coming, but not that much of it out there. I was walking around, checking under the tables just in case people had left the deck boxes on the floor. Not that much Reggie's, but I can tell you something, Zoro is everywhere. Zoroark
really?
V-Star, it is all over the place. I think people are looking. They're seeing Gudra Arceus and they're thinking, I need to get through that wall as quickly as possible, and I think Zoroark has the best chance of doing that.
I mean, Zoroark, there's got the potential to be a very, very, very explosive deck. Obviously, you know, it's got enough, it's damage dependent on the amount of Pokemon on your bench that are damaged, but really, at its heart, it's a Stage 1 Pokemon, or a single evolution. It's not actually a Stage 1, it's V-Star, but it's a single evolution Pokemon with a single energy attachment. You can have a completely explosive turn 2 and just be rolling faster than almost any deck in the format. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Benji. Don't judge me here. I don't really buy Hisui and Zoroark.
Ooh.
I am fully skeptical. I'm willing to be proven wrong. I spent a lot of the EUIC this year eating crow because I was very vocal about the fact I didn't think Whimsicott was a very good V-Star.
Yes, I remember this vividly.
And it had quite the showing at EUIC.
Just the slight showing there, yeah.
I mean, maybe Hisui and Zoroark is going to be there. It's certainly got potential. It's got everything you're looking for. Single energy attachment, single evolution, not much kind of going on. You've got things like Gengar, which can come from the discard onto the bench with damage. Getting those, you know, it's not like the old days where, you know, I remember a very fun Donphan Prime deck with things like Zekrom and Reshiram, where you would have to attack with a Stage 1 to damage your bench and then roll. That's not how Zoroark rolls. Zoroark is very much, let's get that combo going.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's maybe the reason that people have turned to it this week. I think that Salt Lake City sort of grabbed the deck and threw it up in the air, and I think it scattered the format all over the floor. And I think that people are looking for something consistent. I know that I can rely on my deck to do the things that it needs to do, and hopefully that carries me through a lot of my games. And I think the Zoroark, the big plus with it, obviously, is V-Star power, incredibly strong. The same function as Professor Sycamore. Discard your hand, draw 7. You can play that on top of a Professor Sycamore as well. Professor's Research, sorry, my bad. Professor's Research, 14 cards straight away, and then you can Crobat, and you can get more cards. So it's very, very unlikely that you end up missing your combinations, meaning you've got the best chance of getting yourself into the game, and then hopefully you can continue to push the game forward and finish it off.
How many games have we? I mean, you've played a lot of games of Pokemon. I've played a lot of games of Pokemon. We've streamed a lot. We've watched a lot. How many games are literally just one player doesn't have a good start, the other player does, that player wins?
Too many.
So, you know, maybe just having that deck that gives you a better chance of having that explosive start. So we got not much Reggie, lots of Hisui and Zoroark, lots of Giratina. It sounds very different to Salt Lake City.
I think definitely. I think, as I said, I think that Salt Lake City, which is great, really threw the format, took a spanner to it, changed everything up. I think that we saw Peoria and Todd sort of set the pace for us, and we thought, right, it looks like Lost Origin is going to bring a lot of these one prize decks in, and Lost Box is going to be our forefront, is going to be our leader in the format, and then all of a sudden that was turned on its head literally the next regional a couple of weeks later, and now you come here, it's a completely different room altogether again, and I think we're in for a really exciting day. There's lots of variation out there.
It's very interesting the way we're going at the moment. With local level events not back yet, we're not seeing these league challenges and league cups. Usually what we see in years past is we'd have somebody very lovely person in the community would take it upon themselves to compile a massive spreadsheet of results by region, overall, and we'd get this really interesting format. What we have instead is one big regional, one set of results. Everybody scrambles to either copy or overreact and change, and then we have another big regional, and it's just big tournament, bit of a gap, big tournament, bit of a gap, and we see this we do see wild swings in the metagame. Peoria and Salt Lake City were not that similar despite having the same format, and it sounded like we're kind of a little bit different here again.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about Pokemon, right? I mean, you sat here right now, I've told you the room is full of Zoroark, and instantly, the skeptic. I think that's the great thing about the game, right? Is that the deck can, Arceus Gudra just had a really good result in the US, and then all of a sudden everyone here is going, oh, maybe it's not the right play for this though. I'm a skeptic. Is the deck as good as it is? Did it have a good day? Is the player just really good? And I think that's the amazing thing about being able to pick your own deck and your own cards. You might play Arceus Gudra, but change it a little bit, groove it to your own style, make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more defensive. And I think that is what I love most about this game. And perhaps even more that we don't have the league cuts where people sort of get to experiment a little bit more with less risk. It's the full pie every time. They're coming to a regional, you want to do well, you want to perform. And so they're almost taking maybe all the risks at once in hope that it pays off, or they're taking none and they're playing it very safe.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's really, really interesting to me, we saw a winning deck in Salt Lake City that had a super obvious counter. Like, that deck folded to Miltank, and the person who won the deck, said quite obviously to everyone, like, I am aware that this deck folds to Miltank. If I play it again, I'm going to have a counter. And it's always something interesting when that happens, because I'm always thinking, well, does that mean everyone's going to play Miltank, or does that mean everyone's going to go, you know what, like, good on you, Gudra. Great win in Salt Lake City, but I'm not falling for that again. Like, you don't do it. It's like how, John Roberts III many years ago went and won US Nationals for Kling Klang, which is a deck nobody took seriously, and then we ended up in this format which was perfect for Kling Klang. John Roberts went and won, US Nationals, and then went to Worlds. It was something like a respectable 4-2 finish, but it was just, there was one tournament, exactly one. You want a better example? Shintaro Ito, Worlds 2016. If you go and look at the tournament results for Mega Ordino, there are two notable finishes. Shintaro Ito won Worlds, and another Japanese player got top 32 at that same Worlds. Mega Ordino never did anything except win Worlds. That's weird.
If you can pick a crown to wear, that's definitely one you'd want to pick up, right? I think that sums it up exactly. That obviously, you can have these big results, and you can sort of stand back and look and sort of really dive in deep and go back through that list of cards on your phone, go back through PTCGO, filter through everything. Have I looked at this card before? Has anyone played this ever? Wait a minute, this is actually really good. So I think that, this might be another example of this here. We could come up here. We've got a great matchup lined up now. Two far more familiar decks, though, than what we were just talking about, the Mega Ordino. Ross, do you want to serve us up and tell us what we're about to watch?
So we've got Garbor, Van Meenan, and Wolpe. As always, apologies for any missteps in pronunciation here. I've not got the deck list. Oh, we've got Giratina against Mew. 2 games, 3 Giratina. So there's one deck here with which we're very familiar. That is the Mew. And then we got Giratina. Now, the question is Lost Box or... Although we know it's Lost Box, look at the prizes. We can see Sableye, we can see Mirage Gate. That tells us everything we need to know. It might be the Double Turbo Mew, but we have to see if it's Double Turbo or Fusion Strike.
Yeah,
in fact, you've got the deck list for us, haven't you? So it is just the version playing 4 Double Turbo Energy.
Double Turbo. There's been a lot of controversy around these decks, right? Mew, 2 different styles, completely very different in the way they play. You've got Fusion Strike and you've got the DTE version. DTE, its merits being far more consistent, as people say. It wants to get in the game as quickly as possible, get that energy down and start swinging with Mew, using Genesect's attack and getting through whatever's in the active. But then Fusion Strike Mew, a little bit more combo heavy, but it can swing a lot harder with that Meloetta and has a 1-prize threat as well. We can see that Garbor as well has 2 cross switches in his prizes as well. Do you think that's going to cause him any hiccups in this game.
I mean, that's going to be kind of awkward. I mean, you still do have 2 in the deck, but finding 2 out of 2 is a lot harder than finding 2 out of 4. We do have a Genesect start, though. That's always good. We've got a Mew on the bench. We see a Rotom Phone coming to rearrange the top few cards of the deck. And we know what the deal is with Mew at this stage. It's that Fusion Strike system on Genesect, drawing a bunch of cards. It's turn 1. You're not playing a supporter, but you can still go and draw a lot of cards with Genesect.
Yeah, you can go absolutely crazy. I mean, I think that Mew's merit since it came out, of course, is just being able to see as many cards as possible. You can almost see the bottom 10 cards in your deck within the first 2 turns a lot of the time, which really puts it on the map quite quickly, quite heavily. And especially in this deck where, you know, you're trying to hit 1 energy to get your Mew VMAX in turn 2, it's pretty often that Mew gets started in the game. And we see it right now. Turn 1 comes straight down with the DTE.
You do. However, there's always a question whenever you see someone playing against Mew. Do they play Drapion V? Raz does play Drapion V, and it's not prized. And we're not going to see it bench now. You can't bench it now. That is just asking Garbor to gust it up and KO it. But that is an option Raz has got to go throughout this game. And that is why Mew can be a little bit tricksy nowadays. Are enough people playing Drapion to really make it not worth it?
I think that Drapion, when released, I think a lot of people thought this is the end of Mew. I think that everyone said it's his head on the guillotine, and that's it, and it won't see any more play. However, it continues to get pretty good results. However, in Salt Lake City, Peoria, it wasn't right up there. You know, there wasn't any in top 8 at Salt Lake City the last weekend. So I think that maybe this, as I said, you know, I was walking around just now, I saw quite a lot of Mew. I think that people have started taking the risk. They're thinking maybe only Giratina, maybe some of the Arceus decks are playing Drapion, and I think I take a good matchup everywhere else.
Absolutely. And of course, when you know your opponent's playing Drapion, there's an obvious other question. Is Garbor playing Lost City? Yes, 2 copies. So if Garbor can put the Lost City Stadium card in play and KO Drapion, it won't get discarded. It will go to the Lost Zone. And sometimes you don't mind giving up 1 Mew KO because then you take 2 prizes right back. And if you think the matchup's favorable enough, you don't want to give up a free prize Mew, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't always lose you the game.
No, definitely not. I think that Mew has enough firepower as well to get another Mew in the active. Of course, it can heal itself as well. So if Raz finds himself in any situation having to not attack with the Drapion, Mew can shuffle itself back into the deck, heal itself completely, and then bring a new VMAX up after that.
Always a fun time. Now, we did see Raz go for that Battle VIP pass, got a Radiant Greninja that then drew a couple of cards, and a lovely pre-release Comfy. Lovely pre-release alternate artwork with the stamp on there. So that's potentially the draw engine, but Raz is going to need a switching card of some description. Oh, chooses to do what we saw in the last round, scoop up Netza Giratina, so you can play it back down and use that ability a second time.
Yeah, I think Scoop Up Net is a great utility card in that sense. It allows you to open so many more doors. It acts as such a great key to be able to use Greninja once again. And of course, we saw last game the Comphase being recycled, put back to hand, and used again constantly as well.
Yeah, I love that card. Oh,
and again.
A second.
This Greninja is busy this afternoon. He is going right in this morning. He is going right in, drawing as many cards as he possibly can to see if he can establish something on this first turn, and we see another Giratina hit the bench. I think that's quite important in the Mew matchup. As we know, Mew plays boss counts, it plays cross switcher, although to a prize. It is very easy for it to take threats off board as quickly as possible. So Raz will be very happy he's managed to get a second Giratina down on this first turn.
Yeah, no, this is big. I mean, one of the things Mew, you pointed out yourself, Benji. Mew is going, I've got a big attack turn 2. That is all I'm going for. Big attack, turn 2, smash. It should be terrified of Path to the Peak. It should be terrified of Drapion. They're both good counters. It's not that terrified. Interestingly enough, Lost City will actually counter both of those things at once. And Garbor here didn't have a great turn 1, but is still potentially in a good situation. You don't need much to go and get a KO on this Giratina here.
No,
oh, there's the power tablet. So, and
good.
we've got the Mew. Actually, a switching card will do it.
A switching card will do it. Here, of course, he's got another Genesect to use as well after this Rotom Phone. Hopefully you can see what he wants off the top here. I don't see a switch out in his Rotom Phone there, though. Just looking at his hand to see what's the best option for him to take.
Cramormatic, surely.
Cramormatic.
Because that can lead you to a switching card.
Of course.
And that does look like what we're going for here. It's on a coin flip, but at least you've got a chance to get that switching card. And this, you look at Raz, the body language here is basically saying, wait, he can carry my Giratina. And don't get me wrong, Raz can get Drapion, but you cannot drop the Drapion until you're ready to use it. So you've got to have a switching card, and you've got to have Drapion, and you've got to have it at the right time. Because I assure you, if Garbor takes 4 prizes with a Mew V Max, and then you respond with Drapion, you're just going to go, oh,
Here's
return KO
flip.
and win.
And
Oh, it's a heads! Oh, that's big.
And that was the last item in his hand as well. He had only one opportunity to do that. 1 card left in his hand. He managed to get the head, which is going to see him get a big attack off this turn. The switch card, a great inclusion in Mew recently. It allows basics to retreat and heal 30 damage. Not only the utility to switch, but it also heals some damage sprinkles from a Sableye and the Lost Box matchup. Heals those Genesects up really nicely. Maybe keeps them in the game for a turn or 2 more.
And I'm right in thinking that Mew has free retreat anyway, right?
Yes.
So your only evolution doesn't even really need to switch out unless you're being prevented in some way. Now, it does look like we've got a choice bout coming down and a... Where are they coming from here?
He's grabbed.
He's grabbed
it. Looks like he's going for the energy to hand.
Did we
attach? He's going to hard retreat here. He did attach turn 1. Opted not to go for the switch card by the look. Maybe saving it for another point in the game where it's able to be utilized a little bit more, perhaps. Knowing that he's got, a 4 count of the energy in deck.
Absolutely. There was lots going on at once, and I kind of lost track for a second, but we did get the KO on the Mew. We did get the manual retreat on the Genesect. That was a pretty big deal. So, yeah, that was awesome. And now, Raz has got a really good opening. This is the turn. This is really the only turn Drapion is going to be a good play. After this, it's so much worse. So here we see Chorus's experiment, and it's a really simple thing. Can you get Drapion in a switch out? If you can, you're in a great position, because there's no Mew down, so there will be no Mew VMAX response. This is really the pivotal turn in the game, and we are 2 turns in. This is huge.
Yeah, I think definitely, as you said, Drapion on this turn is going to be absolutely explosive. Garbor doesn't have any Mew V on his bench, only Genesects, which means this will absolutely detonate his board state if the Drapion is able to take the prize here, 3 prizes, should I say, from the Mew V Max. It's going to swing the game right back in Raz's direction, although his first turn was a little bit slow. The Chorus, he bins a Psychic Energy and a Giratina V-Star.
Yeah, this is looking very, very good for Raz here. If he's got just a couple of things to go. Now, we do see a comfy, Lost Zone's a Battle VIP pass.
Battle VIP pass in
I
there
mean,
then.
it doesn't matter what, even if the other card is another Battle VIP pass, that is always going to be the choice to be Lost Zoned. Does he have it? And this is huge, because if Garbor's got any kind of gusting next turn, he's going to go up by 4 prizes, and you've got to imagine a Mew's going to get benched. If you get 4 prizes, you don't care about Drapion anymore, because you just return KO for the win.
Yeah.
So it really does have to be right now. And this is a thing that a lot of people have said, Drapion's going to finish off Mew. Mew's no good with Drapion. Well, as we're seeing in this game, there is 1 turn, and you've got to find it and the switch on the exact right turn. If you do, stunning counter. It's not always that easy, though.
It's not, definitely. And I think we're seeing here now that Raz has actually had to get another Comfey and hope that he can actually pick up the Comfey and the active and maybe move into the second Comfey, use Flower Selecting again to see if he can hit that switch out. It seems like he's struggling to sort of establish a hand here with anything threatening on board to really combat that Mew. That Mew is ready to go next turn. It's able to just retreat, switch back in and use Genesect's attack again. Raz really needs to establish something here, fight back a little bit, and don't let that Mew dominate the game.
No, and it is actually, there's an interesting side note here. There's only 1 double turbo that is available for Garbor right now, because there's 1 in the prizes and 1 in the discard from that manual retreat. It's probably not going to be an issue. 2 Mew is going to finish out this game. Garbor not having a Mew down is actually huge right now. It's a big part of the game. Now, we do see another Comfey coming down. Raz is asking to look at Garbor's discard pile here, and this is interesting because if you've got, we all know what Raz needs here. If Raz had the combo, he would just be playing it. So the fact that they're not kind of suggests to me that they're thinking of alternate plans, and if they're thinking of alternate plans, I'm thinking Garbor's in a great position in this game.
Yeah, I really do. I think unless Raz is able to really get rid of that Mew in 1 turn here, obviously, as we said, it's really, really big that Garbor doesn't have another attacking threat down on board. Obviously, unlike the Fusion Strike Mew, unable to attack with Genesect in this deck on its own, it has to come through a Mew VMAX. We are on 7 in the Lost Zone for Raz now, so he does now have access to the fantastic Mirage Gate card.
Yeah, Mirage Gate's huge, even as something to just retreat. Has he retreated yet this turn? Oh, he might have done.
With the air balloon.
Yeah, that's what I'm just looking at. So, okay, that's not going to be, although we have seen that before, using Mirage Gate to get energy to retreat. It's a sneaky bonus of the card. But, you know, Giratina's not probably going to KO Mew. We're talking 280. So, no, with a choice bell, it would be doable. With a choice bell or with a Hawlucha, although we know that we've got Radiant Greninja, not Hawlucha here, unlike in Stefan's list we saw earlier. So, do we see choice bell in this list? I'm not.
Choice bell. We do not. There is
Okay.
no choice belt on this deck, so it would not be possible for Giratina, unless able to Star Requiem.
It would have to be a Star Requiem. That would be what it is.
Which he would need 3 more in his lost zone for that, and with his board state currently with 2 Comfey already having used Flower selecting this turn, that doesn't look too likely. However, the Mirage Gate does come down. We see a Grass and a Psychic going straight to that Giratina, and it's going to try and establish a threat. Do you think that it's ideal for Raz to go in here and attack with the Giratina, or do you think that it puts Mew in a good situation, just being able to hit straight into it without having to find boss?
Oh, I don't like attacking with a Giratina. That's not my preference here. With a choice bell, oh yeah, Mew's got 310 HP, and we see that from Raz. You can't feed your opponent a Giratina. That's going to go wrong. They're going to go up 4 prizes. Now, here, it's really simple. We know Gabor's got the switch card. We didn't see it played. We know Mew's got free retreat. That's all easy. If we can see a boss's orders to KO the Giratina and a second Mew going down, I think that's probably game for Garbor at this point. I think Gabor's in a great position. Raz had a turn, and no choice battle is an interesting inclusion. Mew VMAX having 310 HP is very low for a VMAX. It does bring it into Giratina plus choice battle territory, so, I mean, is there a way back for Raz here? I'm not seeing a great one unless Garbor whiffs.
I think that the other really important thing to note as well is that Mew can definitely play Oricorio as well. And I think that Garbor does have the Oricorio in deck, so even playing down the Oricorio this turn prevents the Giratina, even with a ban, being able to KO the Mew this turn, meaning that he puts himself even further ahead, and Raz would definitely then need to try and find a Drapion if Garbor isn't able to take the prizes this turn. But as you've discussed previously, throwing the Drapion up there on 2 prizes left for Garbor is not a good idea. He's just going to be able to go straight through it.
We have had a Cramomatic Heads. This is absolutely huge. Searching the deck for any card. It's on a coin flip. The usual rule with cards in Pokemon is simple. If it's got a coin flip, it's going to be really good if you hit heads. So, you know, try and flip heads. We did see a heads. So here, Garbor is in a great position. I mean, it's interesting. Raz had 2 opportunities to KO that Mew. It could have been with Giratina's Star Requiem V-Star Power. It could have been with Drapion. Neither of them actually came to fruition. So now Gabor's just basically got a free turn to try and do this. There is the Marnie. Now that's interesting because this basically forces Garbor to take 4 KOs rather than 3.
Yeah, I think it also has a lot of interest on the other side of the board as well. We know that Raz was having trouble finding some of the other pieces that he needed for some big combos on the last turn, missing that choice band as well. He's reshuffled his hand now. There's no Path in play. Obviously, Path would only stop Greninja on Raz's side of the board. So Raz does have a new hand, able to draw in some fresh cards this turn, hopefully being able to hit himself a nice combo to get through that Mew VMAX. However, we see a Mew V hit the bench now, which means that Garbor has now settled things. The water has settled, and he's no longer that under threat from just a big knockout here.
No, and we do see another quick ball coming down. It is that Oricorio that you told us about earlier. I like this idea. Of course, we know that Raz isn't playing Choice Bout. Garbor does not know that Raz isn't playing Choice Bout, and that will make a huge difference. Garbor does know he's not playing Radiant Hawlucha, 1 Radiant per deck, but that Choice Bout is absolutely potentially on board. So it looks like Gabor's going to just be locked in unless he's found double cross switcher, which is an option. There is 1 taken off surprises, so there are 3 active unless any have been discarded.
I'm pretty sure the Cramomatic got rid of the cross switcher just now.
There is 1 in hand, it looks like, but that's not going to be enough.
The Rotom phone here, setting up the top of his deck.
Oh,
once
sorry.
Again.
He's putting 1 to the top of the deck with Rotom phone. So, I mean, maybe Garbor thinks he's got a chance of hitting the double cross switcher here. It looks like that's what's going on top of the deck with Rotom phone. So he's going to be able to draw with Giratina at least twice here. And we see a bunch of cards being drawn. We do have a cross switcher and a switch card. There's an echoing horn, but I don't see the second cross switcher. There's a Roxanne in there.
Indeed, there's a nice echoing horn in there as well. A really, really nice tech card in the Mew matchup. Obviously, we've talked countless times now about how quickly it can get damage down. Genesec's attack doing a minimum of 190 with a DTE attached. So it means that if you can get a nice V back out of the discard and the choice band, you can really grinch an extra prize there and get yourself the game at the end. We do also see the switch card in hand, which is big this turn. Obviously, Mew having already attacked last turn and Technoblast not allowing you to have consecutive attacks. The switch card allows him to jump in, jump back out, and attack again.
Yeah, there is a switch card, exactly as you've said, gets back in the active. We see another draw with Giratina. Oh, it was a poker stop, I want to say. Yeah.
Poker stop.
So that's a little bit awkward, unfortunately. I mean, could play the poker stop and dig for that second.
You have to wonder if Garbor has noticed whether the one of them is prized. Obviously, having discarded one already, he's digging quite heavily for them. So whether he knows his odds are quite low using the poker stop, it's a very risky card to use. Obviously, discarding any of the other cards that aren't items off the top of it, he may get rid of some important outs towards the end of the game. But it is an option here for him to be able to get that big swing that he needs on the Giratina.
I'm going to counter you there, Benji. I don't think it's an option because there is a double turbo on the active, a double turbo in the discard, and the double turbo on the prizes.
Yes.
If he hits double turbo off Pokestop and then gets KO'd, he's literally can't attack for the rest of the game and will guaranteed lose. So as much as I love the idea of using Pokestop to go and get that second cross switcher, no, it is way. I mean, I want to see him do it because it would be really entertaining for the stream, but you cannot risk that.
No, and it looks like here, Mew opting to use Oricorio's Great Attack, which is putting 5 damage counters on your opponent's side of the board in any way that you like. So opting to put 3 damage on our Giratina and 2 damage on the Comfey. I really like the 3 damage on the Giratina. It means he needs 1 less power tablet to get through that V-Star. Yeah,
and then the Comfey now has 50 HP remaining, so that means that potentially you could copy Oricorio's attack again in the future to get that KO on Comfey, hence the 2 damage counters on there. And Garbor didn't need to take a prize. Garbor's prize map is generally Giratina, Giratina, Giratina. That's really what you're going for here, because yes, Sableye Crammer can do some damage, but it's not really enough to start making a huge dent in the game, especially when you're behind. So, we know that Raz is going to be relying on those 2 prize Pokemon. So I like what Garbor did then. Didn't need to take a KO, didn't take it. And then you're forcing Raz to have a switch out in order to keep going with what you're doing. So there's merit in KO in the Comfey, giving access to 1 less flower selecting, but I like the way Gabor's playing this.
I also like the fact that it forces Raz now. Raz is really going to want a scoop up net now for this Comfey. He's not going to want to leave it on board. He's a great player. He's going to understand that the Oricorio for 5 on the Comfey late game is going to be an option for Garbor here. So he's going to be hoping that he can hit a scoop up net at some point to get this Comfey out, which means he does lose his air balloon as well. However, we see an Origuru hit the bench here, and we're going to go for that Primate Wisdom, putting a card on the top of the deck from your hand and drawing another one.
Yeah, that's always quite nice. Don't forget, we saw at least two scoop up net hit the discard already. We saw 2 go turn 1 to use that Giratina over and over. Not Giratina, sorry. There we see the Drapion. Now, this is a little bit more awkward. Drapion is going to get the KO on Mew. Now, this is not as bad as it would have been a couple of turns ago. Garbor here, it's nice and... Oh, no, I quite like it for Raz now. Because I'm thinking Garbor can take a return KO with Lost City. Even then, Raz has got a Giratina with enough energy. If we've got 10 cards in the Lost Zone or Raz can get there, Raz has got the game sewn up.
Yes, definitely. I think that Drapion, although coming down a bit later than Raz perhaps would have wanted to, he's still able to really establish it here. He's moved it. I thought he was hiding it away from Garbor then, saying, please don't knock it out. But no, he's definitely been able to establish himself in the game now. It was a bit of a slow start, but the Drapion doing the work, doing what it's supposed to do and what everyone was talking about it doing when Lost Origins came out. However, we see here a Roxanne from Garbor trying to set Raz back a little bit and establish his own hand and hopefully get that Lost City down for that knockout.
I honestly don't really think it matters what Garbor does here to Raz. I mean, it's too awkward. The problem you've got is if you KO the Drapion, Raz can KO with the Giratina. Yeah. And if you KO the Giratina, Raz can KO with the Drapion. Now, you've got to get the Drapion, obviously. But then at that stage, I mean, assuming our Lost Zone counter is correct, Raz just needs 2 cards in the Lost Zone. So Chorus's Experiment wins the game.
Yeah.
You know, a Comfey and a switch. In fact, 1 switch will win the game because you could switch into the air balloon and then just free retreat it with the air balloon. So I really think here Garbor needs a KO, and just hoping Raz has nothing.
Yeah, I think that's why the Roxanne was so great for him here. You know, a great comeback card to release in the final. We were crying out for a good comeback card for such a long time a couple of months ago, and I think Roxanne's really delivered. It allows you know, you have to make room for it in your deck. It doesn't really become active a lot in the early game, but late game it's really good. He's going to hope that he can stop Raz from hitting that, getting rid of the air balloon as well here with the vacuum. You know, he's really put in.
Did he play
Raz.
vacuum?
Yeah. He played vacuum.
He played Lost City. I must have missed the vacuum. Well, however it goes, he played the Lost City down anyway, which is absolutely huge. And he's now in a very good... Okay, now go on, have a look at the disc up. Show me that vacuum I missed. Oh, we're not going to see it. Never mind. So, I mean, we've got the V-Star. There's only actually one double turbo in the deck. So we're going to see a lot of Fusion Strike system, a lot of drawing with the Giratina. There's the vacuum behind. Thank you very much. Ooh. Okay, that's good. Well, I saw he played the Lost City and then discarded the tool. And I'm like, that's not how Lost City works.
I was just panicking for myself. I didn't want to start making up stories, you know. So I just saw the air balloon disappear, and I was like, okay, I think that's the only thing here that can do that.
Oh, it had to be that. I just wanted to see it. I just needed to see it for myself. That's what's important.
But yeah, I really think, as I was saying though, I think that the Roxanne here was really, really smart from Garbor. That he's making Raz's outs switching out to the comp phase. He's going to be aware that Star Requiem is active very, very soon, 8 in the loss zone. So he knows that all he needed was 1 switch out in the air balloon. Now 2 switch outs in total, and Raz with only 2 cards at hand at the minute.
Yeah, getting rid of that air balloon, like you say, was a huge play here. Garbor still needs to hit that last double turbo energy. Hasn't hit it yet. We've got a handful of stuff that isn't great. You can play
VIP passes as well.
And there's a Mew that you can't bench. There's a cross switcher, it looks like, in a boss's order. There's a lot of unplayable cards.
Yeah, it looks like he's missed the energy this turn.
He's used all the Fusion Strike system, and even if he hadn't, I don't think he's got anything he can actually play. So we're going to see a retreat here into Oricorio, just saying, okay, fine, take a 1 prize KO. Raz here, boss's orders for the game.
Yes, definitely. I mean, boss with the game, all he needs to do is leave that Drapion right there. He's posed and ready. I love the art on that card. He is posed and ready to take those Mews away. And yeah, Raz here is going to be begging that the Roxanne was kind to him, maybe first off the bat, and if not, his top deck is even kinder.
Come on, top deck. That's what Raz is thinking. Can I hit that boss's orders? You'd imagine if he had it, it would have been slammed on the table.
Slammed on the table by now.
I mean, if there's an energy, he's still got access to Giratina's ability to draw 2 cards. We got Oranguru as well, and potentially Comfy if you can find some switch out. So there's still plenty of options here. It's not great, but there are a bunch of options. Now there's a scoop up net.
Oh, the Luminion. Oh,
that's game.
Brilliant.
Plays Luminion, grabs boss's orders, drags up the Mew, takes 3 prizes with a Drapion. Give me the Mew, he's saying, give me the Mew. And there we go. KO on the Mew, 3 prizes. And Raz takes a 1-0 lead. And apparently, Drapion is a perfect counter to Mew, and Mew can't stand up to Drapion. That's what I learned in that game, Benji.
That is the headline right there, right? Summed up in 1 sentence, that is the game we had. I have to talk about, though, the card has been in the game for a long time now, since Rebel Clash. Scoop Up Net. Wow, what a card. It has been the accessor for so many different decks. Inteleon over the last couple of months, picking up those Drizzles, putting down the Inteleons, using those abilities over and over again. It's now in there for Comfey, but once again now, showing a different use here, actually making room on your bench, so you can bench your Luminion and get that game-winning card.
Yeah, absolutely huge. That was brilliant. Luminion is a card that I love that card. It used to be much more widely played than it is. It's started to creep back into a lot of decks, I've noticed.
Yeah, I've noticed this format, definitely.
And it's just, it gets you any supporter card. Now, traditionally, you know, go back to things like Tapu Lele and Jirachi EX in the past, it was more kind of an early game thing. Yes. But we see there it's got great late game utility. It's in your deck. Scoop up net, play Luminion, grab it. That was a really good play. And the thing, you know, as much as I joked when that game ended, Drapion is not a perfect Mew counter. We saw the only reason that worked as well as it did was because Garbor didn't have what he needed on the right turns. There was absolutely a possibility there that that game went very, very differently, and the Drapion was just not as good as you were expecting it to be. So there was a possibility there that things would be very, very different as that game wore on.
Yeah, I think that definitely as well. We saw a really key play early on in the game. We saw that Garbor had the DTE prized, and then early game opted to go for the DT instead of the switch cart, which later on meant that he missed the energy. Now at the time, he was obviously thinking that maybe the switch cart might come in handy in a different scenario, more important than now, so opted for the energy, but it turned out in the end that's what he ended up missing, and he couldn't attack on that last turn.
Unfortunately not, and to be fair, the switch cart was used the following turn to get the switch out and attack with a Mew, but we got 2 Battle VIP Pass prized for Garbor, and more bad news for Garbor. Drapion is not prized, but one of your 2 Lost City is.
Yeah, I think Lost City is definitely a card that he's going to want to see if that Drapion comes down early again. Another heads for Garbor. He's 3 for 3 now. Raz, head in his hands. He's just hoping, he is wishing for a Tails, but unfortunately not. And this time, of course, Battle VIP Pass, one of the best cards you can hit on turn 1 in this game. Grab any 2 Pokemon from your deck and put them straight down on the field.
Any 2 basic Pokemon, you are ready to go. And to be honest, if you can find your Battle VIP Pass, then having a couple prizes is great, because they're about the only examples of cards you will never need. You know, Raz wants Drapion prized in every matchup but Mew. Most of the time, you're going to have good cards prized. We do see Oricorio coming down here. There is a Rotom phone. Not, unfortunately, a Battle VIP Pass. That would have been just too good.
No, and I think here the Rotom phone showing him quite a lot of cards that he does want to see. We can see a DTE there. We can see the Lost City also in hand there. Another Quick Ball to get down another Genesect if he needed that. So plenty of cards he could pick to draw with that Genesect. The Oricorio as well, coming down a lot earlier this turn. I think that Gabor's noticed that actually the mass adds up quite well here for Giratina in a band. So this time, turn 1, straight down.
Indeed, and you got to wonder if and when Gabor's going to realize there's no choice bout. I mean, we saw him look through Raz's discard pile fairly late in the game, but you never know. You know, it could be a little one-off tech for things like Mew. Most of the time nowadays, 280 is enough. It's only really things like Mew where you're getting a KO, and then if you worried about Kyurem, then you play the choice bout and you play the Hawlucha as well. So it's getting very, very interesting here that, you know, Gabor's got that Oricorio, might not actually need it, but does Garbor know that? Instead, you know what? Oh, drawing with Genesect, playing another Genesect, drawing more with Genesect. It's a lot of cards.
There we go. And this looks like a real Mew turn 1. Drawing as many cards as he can. Your board as full as it can be. And then switching out, protecting that DTE. He's a little bit worried there maybe that Raz has something up his sleeve where he could put a little bit of damage on that Mew turn 1, maybe with a Cramorant. So opting to move out of the active, knowing that his other Mew V has free retreat and he can jump straight back in the following turn.
Yeah, absolutely love it. No real downside here. All you're really doing is just protecting your Mew with the energy, which has got to be the play to go for. No double turbo energy or DTE prize this game for Garbor, which is always a bonus. And Raz, this is an awkward game for Raz. This is an awkward one to go through, because in your general matchup, you're just going, Giratina, let's get my Giratina. Maybe a Cramorant or a Sableye if I'm feeling a bit spicy, depending on the matchup. Here, you've got to have the Drapion, but not play the Drapion. You've got to save a bench space, and that's another thing, you know, Garbor can do if he's not taking a KO, is use something like Echoing Horn to try and fill up that bench. Doesn't work after a KO, unfortunately. But Raz here displays a Capture Energy. You're going to go and get himself another basic.
Of course. I think the best way you can describe the Drapion in this matchup is hopscotch. You're jumping in, you're jumping out, you don't know whether to put it down. 1 leg, 2 legs, it's sort of in your hand. Is this the right time? Because as you said as well, you know, Garbor does have the means to get rid of it if played at the wrong time, which means that Raz could be even more punished, perhaps for starting it or having to put it down on his first turn. So it is a very, very key factor in the game of when that Drapion hits the board and obviously attacks into that Mew.
And you need to set up for your Star Requiem. I mean, that's the easy prizes here for Raz, right? If you assume the Drapion's not, and sometimes Drapion will take 2 KOs, that happen in game 1. If you assume that Drapion's only going to get 1 KO, which you really should be doing, Star Requiem takes the other one. So you're in this weird situation where you need to be doing the general Giratina thing. You need to be filling up your Lost Zone. You need to be building towards that Star Requiem, possibly double Giratina, either of them ready in case one gets KO'd. But you also need to be ready to pounce on that Drapion. And it is something you have to prep for, because you cannot rely on having the Drapion and the Switch in hand at the right time. Magically, you maybe have to save a couple of those switching options. But you don't want to save the switching options. You want to use them to use Comfy.
Oh, it's all just a mishmash, isn't it? In a perfect world, you'd have as many switches as you like and get that Drapion in. However, we do see here, Capture Energy, what a great card. Attach that energy, and when it is attached, get a basic Pokemon out of your deck and put it straight on the bench. Obviously, Raz is going to want to see this Comfey turn 1, so we can start using that Flower Selecting. I don't know if he has a switch out in his hand to get that going. It's just going to be the Abyss seeking this turn. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, put 2 in the Lost Zone, 2 in your hand.
Yeah. It's not bad at all. It's a decent card. It's never one you really want to be using. You'd much rather be doing 110 damage with a Cramorant, which just hit the Lost Zone. And if you're getting rid of...
going to be seeing that this game then.
No, I mean, if you get rid of a Cramorant and a Giratina, you've probably got some pretty good stuff. But again, Raz knows that Cramorant attacks aren't doing anything. He needs 2 attacks to win the game. We know what those attacks are. Cramorant doesn't really get Raz any closer to winning the game. We do see a Marnie coming down here, though. And we see a double turbo energy being drawn. Did he get the Mew V Max? That is... Oh, it doesn't matter. He's got one on the bench.
Yeah, the DC came down and the Mew V Max just before the Marnie.
Yeah, and there's an argument for not evolving the Mew V Max so that you can always kind of keep Drapion offline when your first one gets KO'd if you need to for a turn.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of evolving both of them at the same time necessarily. So... Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, there we go. I mean, to be fair, right, Gabor's 1-0 at the tournament with Mew, so this at least stops you having to do a retreat. What this basically means is that when the first Mew gets KO'd, Raz is always going to have access to Drapion. It means that you lose that opportunity to potentially, you know, give up a 2-prize KO and force Gabble to then take out a 3-prize Mew.
Yeah, of course. As you say, it does come with its risks. I think maybe Gabble, looking at the fact that he had the cards in his hand, wanting to draw more with Genesect this turn, maybe seeing that maybe he does know that Raz doesn't have the band, hoping that he can't get 2 Drapion knockouts, hoping he can get that Lost City down, get rid of it with the first Mew, hoping it doesn't come back into play twice. And
let's face it, right, one of the things that happened in the last game was that Gabble had that turn where there was no Mew and things were getting risky. We know that there's, you know, cards like Roxanne in the format which can punish you, and actually, one thing Gabble's got here is 2 Mew that need nothing. They are ready to go.
They are dressed and ready for work, these Mew. And here we see on Rad's side of the board that Comfey taking his Lost Zone now up to 5. We need 2 more for that Mirage Gate to set up that Giratina on the bench ready. And of course the V-Star to go on top of it.
Now we do see the quick pull here. Gee whiz, I wonder what Raz is looking for. What could it be?
Well, Luminion's come to the front of the deck, which is not what I was going to say. I was expecting a Comfey here to continue to go, but of course grabbing that Luminion straight into Colress. It seems like a pretty smart decision, making sure those extra 2 get in, maybe a Mirage Gate or 2 in hand already, and he knows that he can get there.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this not a Drapion turn? Do you not want to just go for Drapion here and then just go and get a KO? Or do you risk getting Roxanne and not having enough on the field to roll? Because again, if you get Drapion KO'd and you've got nothing set up, that's awkward.
Doesn't have a switch out in hand currently, though, which would sort of display a bit of the story as to why he's gone for the Colress. Hoping this Greninja can draw him the things he needs. There is a Mirage Gate and energy in hand as well, so a Giratina can be set up in 1 turn here if he's able to hit the V-Star, which is in his hand. So if that comes down, all he needs is a switch out to be able to attack. And it doesn't look like that was the best Colress. 3 Psychic Energy in that.
That's not what you're looking for. I say with no choice bout in the list, it's really simple for Raz. It's either Drapion or it is Star Requiem, or it's not getting a KO. And if he's not getting KOs on the Mew, I think Gabble's just winning this game. Gabble's is, you know, you talked about it at the beginning of this round with Hisui and Zoroark. There is a real merit to decks that just work. Yes. And we have seen, you know, Gabble may have lost game 1, but his deck just was attacking. You know, we saw a turn 2 KO on a Pokemon V. This game, we saw a turn 2 KO on a Pokemon V. Gabble's deck is rolling quite nicely, save for missing the second Mew in game 1. It's going nicely, and Raz seems in an awkward position here. Like, nothing's really... Like, he doesn't have the Giratina V-Star, and he could have got the Drapion, but he didn't have the switch out, and it's just...
I really like this play here. Using the Capture Energy as both a retreating out and a searching card with the Drapion.
It's
2 in 1. Wow, I love a good deal. And buy one, get one free here with the Capture Energy for the Drapion. That's going to be able to take the knockout here that Raz needs. I think Raz realizing maybe my hand isn't the best. It's not the time to try and get complicated with it. Let's just get this Drapion in and see myself through the next turn, and we'll figure out the rest after.
And this does incidentally explain getting the Luminion off of the quick ball. And this is what I often say, that when we're sitting and streaming, we can't always see the player's hands. We can't search through their discard pile. If we knew he had a capture energy, obviously that would have been the play. Now we do see the retreat into Comfy here, so Raz must have a switch out. You do not bench Drapion to put Comfy out unless you know Drapion's coming back. So
I don't think I see one in his hand. It's maybe a switch card, but I'm just trying to see here if he...
No, don't tell me that. There's got to be a way to get the Drapion into the active.
He does play one switch card, so I think I can see that in his hand, but I'm not sure. No, that's Tool Jammer here. Tool Jammer, I think, a big card this weekend. With Big Parasol making the rounds at the minute, Pokemon Umbrellas are in fashion. They are holding them all the time at the minute, stopping that Star Requiem from Giratina. So that Tool Jammer, a really nice tool to be putting on it as well.
Yeah, Big Parasol stops using Star Requiem to get an instant KO on a Goodra, but your Tool Jammer stops Big Parasol stopping you getting a KO, so then you do get a KO, and things are looking lovely.
Looking lovely. Funnily enough, the Umbrella is taken away and the Sunshine comes back out to play.
There's the switch card. There had to be a... I refuse to believe.
I knew he was hiding it in there somewhere.
That couldn't not be. You don't bench Drapion if you don't have a switching card. That was never going to work.
He claps his hands, and it's as easy as that for Drapion. A clap of the claws, should we say, for Drapion. And the Mew is knocked out, and a lovely 3 prizes for Raz.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I can see this game going towards Raz as well. Raz, it feels like this is one of the matchups where Raz has just really got it sorted. If you're only playing one Drapion, you still need an answer for if Mew gets rid of your Drapion, and you've got that in Giratina. So Garbor now, you know, you're looking to do the same thing as last game, right? You're looking to get Lost City and KO the Drapion, but the problem is, if Raz can get 2 cards in the Lost Zone and then play a Mirage Gate, it'll just get game anyway.
Yeah, and I think Raz really showing the merit here of the Drapion specifically partnered with Giratina. I think that Drapion able to do the early legwork here for the really easy knockout. He doesn't have to do anything to the Drapion once it's down. As long as Mew VMAX is across from him, he's got the knockout. And then, of course, he's got that time then to get the 10 in the Lost Zone, making sure Giratina's prepped and ready to go. And, of course, just being able to, again, clap its hands and the Mew disappears. It's like a magic show, not a Pokemon game. This is...
I mean, how good would it be if that's just how the game always worked? Like, clap your actives, KO, and I win the game. But alas.
We see a 4th Genesect hit the bench. Garbor now looking like he's going all in here, trying to find a way to hit this loss. Oh, the first tails. Garbor, he is in distress. The first tails, he didn't know what that side of the dice looked like until this point in the game. All heads so far, but he puts in the Mew. As you said earlier, Ross, just trying to hide that Mew a little bit, maybe forcing Raz.
Oh,
no,
it's a cross switcher. I love. Very nice. No, I don't love this play. But then what? But then you just get KO'd right back by Drapion.
It's interesting to see here. Surely Garbor knows that, and obviously somewhere of his stature would definitely know that is going to be the case with Drapion. But you know, we've said so many times this match, it's almost a checkmate here with 8 in the Lost Zone. All Raz needs, 2 Comfey on the bench already, or a Colress next turn. Star Requiem is almost live. It's just about there, meaning that is really accessible for him. But on top of that as well, just the Drapion being there, I really do feel like this is a really big checkmate here on Raz's side of the board for Mew.
I mean, what I'm thinking, it looks like Garbor played the double cross switcher just to empty his hand, just to try and draw more cards. Now, we do see Lost City is in hand now, but now we're going to need Boss's orders as well.
To get the Drapion back.
And it has to be this turn. Yeah, it has to be this turn. You've got to get a KO. Basically, Gabor's route to victory here is getting a KO on the Drapion with Lost City this turn, hoping Raz doesn't get 2 cards in the Lost Zone and a Mirage Gate, and then KO in the Giratina, and then you've won the game. That is so much more difficult. Garbor can absolutely still win this game, but it's an awkward route to victory. That's what it's going to take.
Yeah, I think as well, I'm looking at his prize cards, and 1 Boss's orders is prized, and he plays 2. So, obviously, having not supported yet this turn, playing the cross switcher, I'd say it's more likely for him to hit his boss to get that Drapion back in the active, so that's perhaps what we're seeing him dig for here.
I think we're down to 1. He hasn't got it yet, but I think we've got a couple of cards we can fin from the hand. There's a Rotom Phone. Oh, Rotom Phone's particularly good.
Particularly nice for him to see. He's going to hope that he sees that boss, or perhaps a second cross switcher. No, there's none in. Oh, no, a second cross switcher as well. There is 1 cross switcher in hand, so either 1 cross switcher or a boss in those top 5 cards with that. Going to use a quick ball maybe to thin as well, just a little bit more, make his odds slightly better. Was that just the Lost City he discarded?
He did discard a Lost City. No, maybe he's got 2 in hand, because he needs to get the KO with the Lost City, or else potentially just... I mean, he might be thinking that recovering it is just as difficult.
There is the boss, but he opts not to take the boss. Here, maybe... Oh, I think I just saw him get a pass to the peak off the top of the deck, which, funnily enough, Drapion, although very good against Mew, it is an ability. So if you're able to turn that ability off, it's not able to do the things that it usually does.
I mean, Mew playing Path to the Peak. Yeah, now that is not a card we expect to see in Mew very much, although it has been popping up. This is not the first time I've ever seen it. But the theory, so we can see Path to the Peak Marnie. So Mew loses to Path Marnie, but now apparently Mew plays Path Marnie. And the theory here, okay, this I like. This is a very different play to what we've been describing. But now it's, I'm going to KO your Giratina, and we just saw a double, power tablet, that's what it's called. And you're going to KO Giratina with Path Marnie, and then if Raz doesn't get a counter stadium, Drapion's turned off. This could do it. I was not expecting Path to the Peak from Garbor here, I'm going to be honest. This is actually, I think this is a more likely route to victory, although one we don't necessarily expect from Mew, but it's not a KO.
It's not a KO here. No band on the Mew. 2 power tablets, just not enough there. You know, it's a tale as old as time. The enemy of my enemy is, in fact, my friend. Obviously, Mew seeing just how annoying Path to the Peak and Marnie can be for itself, and thought, why wouldn't I want to inflict this pain on other people? So opting to put it in itself, I do think for Mew as well, if you're able to do it quite late in the game, you know Mew has that firepower already. So it means that you can get that down if you're certain you've got the stuff in your hand to do it, and get through, and hopefully your opponent doesn't draw out of it.
It's a nice play. I mean, you've got Mew with energy. You're not going to need another Mew. Yeah, if that Mew goes down, you lose the game, because even like last 3 prizes. So I suppose it is kind of a case of, I've got everything I need. Try and get out of this. But whiffing the KO gives Raz 1 extra turn to indeed find his way out of this. And that's what I'm a little bit worried about. I felt really good about that play when it was a KO on the Giratina, but it's not a KO on the Giratina. So now you've got that question of...
Oh, Raz here playing the Mirage Gate, which means that he can... No, he's got 8 in the Lost Zone. So it's going to be interesting here if he's going to see if he can find a switch out from somewhere and be able to get off the Star Requiem this turn. I think probably going to opt for the Psychic and Grass, as that's what Giratina feeds off anyway. But then interesting to see where the turn goes from there.
There is a nice, interesting little play here. That Giratina is actually in Oricorio range. So Mew could potentially Oricorio KO the Giratina next turn and then go and get the KO on Drapion after. Wait. It's interesting. I'm just trying to think of Raz's attackers here. Because if Raz doesn't get a KO but does a bunch of damage, does that mean, like, does he have anything to KO with? Because actually we saw that the Cramorant went in the Lost Zone very early on in the game.
Sableye could come out.
There's two Cramorant and a Sableye, so he should have an attacker to finish off the game. And it does look like that's what we're going for. Does not look like there is a Star Requiem. Looks like it is just straight damage.
I think Raz as well can confidently hit into this Mew for 280 as well. Not another new V on the bench at the minute, meaning this VMAX can't heal itself next turn using Mew's attack.
That is literally what I was just thinking there. I'm just thinking, can Garbor like save a space? Can he clear a bench space? Because if he could and bench a Mew, then you can get a KO with Mew's attack that shuffles back into the deck. I mean, Raz doesn't have an attacker on board as it stands, assuming the Path to the Peak stays in. But a Cramorant or a Sableye and a Psychic Energy will end the game. There's the boss's orders. Onto the Drapion. Oh, okay, I like this. And then, in theory, we're going to use Oricorio's attack to KO it on the bench and force a switch out from Raz. Oh,
I like this quite a lot.
Didn't have a second switch.
Didn't have a second switch. He could have retreated with the DTE though, correct?
No, he already retreated the Mew.
Yeah, retreated the Mew, okay.
He needed a switch with the retreat. Oh, Garbor's setting up so many cool plays and they're just not quite working. There's boss's orders, comes down onto the Genesect. So Raz has nothing either, and we have gone into full stalemate situation. Neither player's got a way to get out the active. There's a Silent. We do see a couple of coins flipped
And
here. It
there
is
is a
one
head.
heads. Oh my goodness. And
Oh,
it's for cross switcher.
I think the one from earlier still in hand, not going anywhere from where it was earlier. So maybe here the Genesect retreat into Mew and then draw out that second cross switcher next turn.
No, we go. I love this. Now we get the
Brilliant.
KO on Giratina. And now, if Drapion does retreat, then we see a situation where the cross switcher is already in hand. But I think that Mew is pretty much about to be KO'd, right? It took a lot of damage.
It did take a lot. I think, yeah, Garbor. I think Garbor takes the game.
I think Raz is conceding.
Do it. Yes, he did. Well, the pass didn't play, of course, so I think that still being on
yeah,
the field.
we do see the concession
Drapion.
from Raz. So we are tied up at one game each. It is a little bit weird sometimes when you're not sitting at the table. You see them picking up their cards, and there's just that moment of,
Guess
so
who?
I'm pretty sure Garbor won, but I'm not 100% sure. But like you say, the path was in play, the Giratina was KO'd, and Garbor is grinning like someone who just pulled it back. That was an extremely well-played game from Garbor, and it was risky. Like, it wasn't like Garbor had no good play. There was the option we laid out, and then it turned out there was actually the path option, either of which could have fallen apart super quickly. They both could have been countered pretty easily. That was not like Garbor played them and went, well, game 3. That game went on a while after.
I think it did. I think as well, me and you for a minute, when we saw the Lost City hit the discard, we were a bit panicky. We were like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? But Path really showing its worth there. I think Drapion showing a little bit of a weakness there, not being able to attack under Path. And Garbor just happy that it ended up forcing Raz into a situation where he couldn't hit the cards he needed more than himself, as we said. Mew's worst enemy definitely being that Path Marnie, and he ended up coming out on top. A very risky play, but paid off in the end, and I love to see it. And we are so lucky, both our games so far go into a game 3 situation. We
have seen some really good games on stream so far. It's always a little bit, especially in the early games, you know, you're not having 4-0s and 4-0s against each other. There's a chance that you're going to pick players whose decks aren't cooperating or very lopsided matchups, but that is not happening here. We have seen just phenomenal play and really good players. These are, you know, both games, there's very little to take away other than they played really well. I don't really think there is much Raz could have done in that last game. I think Raz just got beaten by Garbor playing really well. Yeah, I agree. I think that play at the end, as we said, you know, not something that me and you saw initially, but once it come down, I think definitely ticked all the boxes as something he needed to do. You know, playing that Marnie, Raz, you know, Giratina itself, you know, it doesn't play a lot of draw cards, obviously only really able to draw cards on the turn, you know, with Greninja obviously turned off by Path as well, and with Comfey and the Oranguru. So, you know, you may be seeing 3 or 4 cards on the turn, naturally with the abilities you have on board, not a lot of draw power, nothing like a Professor's Research in the deck. So I do think that Marnie Path is just as good on Garbor's side of the board, it seems like, as this side of the board. It's just so weird seeing Mew using Marnie Path to win. There's something about it that just feels a little bit wrong. Like, you know, you're taking your opponent's strategy and using it against them. But it worked. We are in a game 3, but we're not comfortable time-wise here. So it does look like the players have started off now. We're going to get back and have a look at exactly what they've got, how the board's looking, things of that nature. But it looks like Garbor is on, and I'll be honest with you, we've not got the best view here, Benji.
we do definitely haven't. I'm trying to look underneath the Mew VMAX. I can see a Pokestop there. I can't see much else. I did see Raz put down a Comfey with a VIP pass and a Greninja turn 1. Maybe drawing some cards. Using that flower picking as well. So I think a decent turn from Raz. Maybe I obviously can't see the bench, but perhaps a Giratina being there as well. So Giratina, Greninja, Comfey turn 1 on the bench. That would be a good turn for him, and I think to set him up quite nicely. And here we are. Yeah, we go. So now we can see. Giratina there. no, but there is a Greninja on the bench, and there is a Cramorant. Not a good start, not a terrible start. And we see over to Garbor's side, we've got Mew with an energy, we've got a Genesect. You would want a little bit more than that. You really want to be using that Fusion Strike system on Genesect to draw a bunch more. And I see you peering into look. Are you looking at that Lost City in the discard? I was looking at the prize cards. I think that's definitely a talking point in this matchup for both players. Yeah. Mew, 2 of its energy of the 4 that it plays already taking out of the game for at least half of it from when they're positioned, depending on how Garbor chooses to take his prizes. But but Raz as well. 2 scoop-up net in there, meaning that his early game comp phase are going to be a little bit more strenuous to get.
Okay, to be fair, the Lost City in the discard is not ideal, but 2 double turbo in the prizes, yeah, that is next level, not ideal. So we do see Raz using that comfy there. We got 4 cards in the Lost Zone. Of course, not having no scoop up net is going to be awkward for 2 reasons. Firstly, that's what you use to bounce those comfies around, draw those cards, get cards in the Lost Zone. Secondly, that is a good pivot option to get your Drapion in the active on the perfect turn. So this is a matchup where Raz really needs all the switching cards he can get his hands on, and it's not looking perfect from that situation. And it is about time a Giratina V hit the bench.
I think he's bided his time. I think it's definitely time for one to come down. Also, just to add on to your point as well, I don't think we can mention scoop up net and how important it's been in this game without mentioning Raz's last turn in the game 1, right? It was able to clear up a bench space for him as well, to get down that Luminion, that key boss's orders at the end of the game as well. So definitely important card. And where they are in the prizes as well, Raz probably not going to see him until later on in the game.
No, that is a little bit awkward, but unfortunately it is as it is. At least both players are having very unlucky prizes here. At least that seems a little bit fair. Now, we have actually hit time, it looks like, here. I don't know if they've marked who was turn 0, who was turn 1, but we are in a situation. Now, interestingly enough, Raz can, in 2 turns, take 6 prizes by KOing 2 Mew VMAXs. So basically, Garbor can guarantee a tie here by not VMAXing the Mew. And I think that's probably what we're going to go for. We're assuming the timer on the screen is correct. So it looks like, I mean, they're still going to play out for a turn or 2, but when both players have got 6 prizes remaining, and it doesn't look like either player here really has a route to victory.
No, neither really getting a fierce board state on turn 1. Obviously, Raz not having the Giratina down very quickly. Of course, Mew side of the board looking pretty bare from what we saw in the second game. 6 Pokemon out compared to the 2. Raz holding his head here, perhaps attaching the capture energy incorrectly. I'm not sure. Gone back to hand.
Yeah, okay. Don't want the capture energy. What we've got here is an Ultra Ball coming down, getting rid of a Giratina V-Star. I don't believe they've marked who's turn 1 and who's 0. I'm afraid I didn't see when it actually flicked over. But either way, we're looking for one player to take a bunch of prizes. I mean, Raz has to be at least turn 0, right?
At least.
So basically what we're saying is Raz has this turn and 1 more. Garbor has 2 turns. Now, Raz would need to take a KO on a Genesect or Mew this turn. Yeah. Hope Garbor played 0 Pokemon, and then... But it's not possible. Oh, okay, right. It's very improbable, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
Follow this through with me.
I am ready.
Had Raz benched a Giratina last turn, and he didn't. Had he done it, there is a chance of a Giratina V-Star KO this turn and next turn. And if Garbor didn't bench any other Pokemon, again, very unlikely, that would give Raz a win. But there's no Giratina. The most he can do is 120 with Sableye with basic Pokemon.
Tina 160 Shred, correct? On the bottom for 3 energy, 160 and Shred goes through all effects of attacks.
Oh, it does. You're right.
However, once again coming up in this matchup, no choice ban for Raz, so
no
it wouldn't be able to take that the Genesect knockout.
No, okay, you're right. Giratina would beat Sableye. You win that round, but unfortunately, there's no choice bout. So it's a moot point anyway, and I like choice bout in Giratina, but there's only so many cards you can play. Like, we have a very strict deck limit in Pokemon. It is 60 cards, no more, no less. So, sure, choice bout would be great in Giratina, but if you're going to add in a choice bout, you're then left with the question of, well, what are you cutting? And I don't know what the answer is.
There we go, and a big poker stop. Raz using his opponent's stadium to his advantage, hitting a Mirage Gate. 5 in the Lost Zone, though, not yet available to him. He's got a big mishmash of cards, lots of energy, some capture energy in there, a Chorus in hand, a Giratina V-Star, not handy to him right now. We want to see its base evolution first. And
okay, there we go.
The game.
It has been decided nobody can win. Maybe if there was a choice bout, but there isn't. Maybe if Raz benched a Giratina V turn 1, but he didn't. There's no way for either player to take the win here, so we are going to just see a tie. And This is one of those games, and look, we can't have an on-time tournament. We have homes to get to. We do not want to have a tournament which goes on until like 4 in the morning. At some point, we need sleep. But this is one of those games I wanted to see a Game 3. Both those games we saw were super interesting. Game 3 never really got started. That is a real matchup that could go either way. It's kind of, because of the Drapion, that gave Raz a really good advantage in some respects, but actually Garbor had ways around it, and I just wanted to see how that was going to turn out.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was really excited with that game as well, because I feel the agenda since Lost Origins coming out was that Drapion overpowers Mew, and it's going to be a very quick game. You know, bing bang bosh, Drapion does its business, Mew can do nothing, and that's it. But proving us wrong there. Mew definitely in that game too, some really intricate play there to make sure that the Drapion couldn't do its job and was able to claw it back in.
Yeah, that was very, very nice. It was really well played, and I do think we saw some really high-level play from both players. But if anybody was ever wondering, well, why doesn't Drapion just auto-win Mew that game? I will say, and it's hard to find the deck space, you increase your chances of starting with it, etc. If you want to play 2 Drapion V, that does actually make the Mew matchup very, very favourable. But then you're playing 2 cards that don't really do much in other matchups, so you increase your chances of starting with it. It's not necessarily a good idea, but if you really want to beat Mew, I will say 2 Drapion V does do it beautifully.
I think in Pokemon TCG we should know by now. No idea is a bad idea. It can come off sometimes. It might go wrong sometimes, but we're all in it for the fun at the end of the day. No, you're definitely right. I don't think it's a good idea in most matchups. But, I mean, if you really dislike Mew and you want the win, definitely play it. But I think Clara, another activator in the format that we're seeing quite a lot often now as well, with Drapion being able to get it back out again. Didn't see any in Raz's deck there, but definitely something we might see throughout the day as well.
Yeah, Clara getting those Pokemon energy back into your hand. Of course, that's why we see players with Mew playing stuff like Lost City, to try and make sure that actually we can then put that card into the Lost Zone so Clara then isn't turned on. But we saw, you know, Garbor play 2 Lost City, but it's not a case of I play Lost City, I'm not worried about Drapion. Well, yeah, that's brilliant if you've got Lost City at the exact time you KO the Drapion. And there are some cards in the format, like supporters, energy, Pokemon, that are quite easy to search for. But there's other cards like items and stadiums and special energy where they can be searched, but your options are much, much lower. So we've seen Giratina 3 of the 4 on stream so far. How are you feeling about Giratina, Benji? Are you thinking this is Giratina's day?
You know what, we said it before the start of the round. I think that it's not done itself justice so far at the American events. Now, walking around the tables, I saw quite a lot of it. And usually if you see a lot of it, ratio says some should do well. You hope anyway. But I think that it does have very even matchup spreads. It's an incredibly strong attacker, and I think that Star Requiem V-Star as well is, wow, it's one of the best ones that we've seen so far, right? Just being able to click your fingers at 10 in the Lost Zone and whatever's in front of you goes down. But I do think Giratina sees its hiccups. We did see that Raz had some awkward hands, relying on perhaps Comfey a little bit too much to see only a few cards during the turn. You know, Marnie Pass did prove to be a little bit susceptible for it in that game too as well. So I really want to see Giratina do well today. It's a deck that I really enjoy watching. Many intricate plays, lots of tech cards you can go in as well. And I'm sure there will be far crazier ones than we've seen so far today at some point. But how are you feeling about it? Do you think it's in a strong place?
I love the fact that you said it's got really even matchups. And if we look at the Giratina on stream so far, what's the record of Giratina? 1, 1, and 1. It's perfect. It's so even.
It is posed for a headline story.
See, I'm thinking about my conversation with Philip after the previous game, and Philip seemed really convinced that Arceus Giratina was better than Lost Zone Giratina.
Okay, that's interesting.
And it's kind of, it's weird. Now, with me as a player, I like being very aggressive as a player. I like fast, aggressive decks, but I also like having options and not being locked out of games. And here's the thing about Arceus Giratina, and we saw this really, really well in round 1. When it gets going, it's actually much more straightforward than the Lost Zone deck. It's, I'm going to attack with Arceus, accelerate some energy, set up a couple of Giratina, attack. Yay, I've done a win. And that's lovely. But if you don't get those early turns, you don't have the comeback. You're not playing Mirage Gate. It is possible to get 10 cards in the Lost Zone for Star Requiem, but it's very unlikely. Yeah. It is something, you're not relying on it. It is Arceus' V-Star power you're going into the game to use. And what that means is you end up in a situation where, we saw this kind of game 1 a bit in round 1. If you don't have a decent start with Arceus Giratina, it can be very, very difficult to make that comeback with it. So I'm really interested to see how this shapes out. And it's weirdly the exact same conversation we had with Gudra in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
Should we play Lost Box Gudra or should we play Arceus Gudra? Arceus won. Literally won the whole event.
Oh, yeah, I think it takes the crown on that one, right? I don't think Lost Box has much of a competition to a regional win.
So here's my question then. Are we going to see, for the second regional in a row, a deck where everyone's thinking Lost Box is the way to play it, but then someone comes along and goes, no, Arceus. And Arceus is one of the most ridiculous cards we've seen in many, many
Definitely.
years. It's like when you look at the best cards in the format, it depends. There's always a question of how you rate them. And you could say that Palkia is a better attacker than Arceus. But if you want to look, Palkia is good in Palkia or Palkia Kyurem. Arceus, I mean, we've seen Arceus Flying Pikachu, we've seen Arceus Gudra, we've seen Arceus Giratina, and that is just the top level decks from the last 2 events. We've seen so many Arceus. Really, since Brilliant Stars dropped and gave us Arceus, it's given real Zoroark GX vibes.
Oh, yes.
It can attack and it can support, and it's almost getting to the point where Arceus plus some kind of Pokemon V, all of a sudden it's good.
Yeah, I think definitely for the god of all Pokemon, it's definitely living up to its name, right, in both spirit and in power. Yeah, definitely a great activator. I'm willing to be proved wrong, but I think today Lost Box Giratina has my tick. I think that many more tech cards to be seen. I really like the fact that Sableye in it as well, maybe being able to pick off some smaller HP targets as well, but I'm willing to be proved wrong, and I'm excited to find out.
See, we've not seen much Sableye yet so far, but we've not really had an opportunity to see a lot of Sableye, unfortunately. And Sableye is one of those cards. I've got a bit of a beef with Sableye at the moment. And the reason I have a beef with Sableye is very simple. I like evolving decks. I was testing a lot of Zoroark box. And evolving decks right now, Sableye can just absolutely decimate those decks turn 2. So, you know, it's things like Regigigas, because you're looking at 130 HP on average, 120 on Regieleki, 150 on Regigigas, but generally 130 HP. And it's things like that that can survive against Sableye, whereas things like my beloved Zoroark, I was working on a really good list, and then Sableye came out, and I played a couple games against Sableye with it, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't working anymore.
I think we need to use our powers as casters and maybe speak to TCPI and see if they can just forget about Sableye, maybe, I don't know, put it in the back burner for now, just so you get to play, you know, you can take a week off, maybe go and play Zoroark, and who knows, you'll win, I reckon.
Could be fun. Well, speaking of, I mean, we've had a couple of very fun games so far.
Definitely.
There are plenty more fun games to come, and I need to make way for another lovely caster. So we're going to have a very quick break, and we're going to be back very shortly. Grab yourself a nice cold beverage, but do not go far at all.